With the recent introduction of Canva's inbuilt video editor, the world for DIY video marketers has really opened up, because without any knowledge of pro editing apps like Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro, we can now do so much just within Canva to actually get our videos edited and up on social media or YouTube or wherever you're publishing video. In this video, I'm actually going to walk you through a completion live of me finishing a video edit in the Canva video editor. And I'm going to share with you some tips that I've picked up along the way that can help really elevate the results that you're getting with the Canva video editor. And if you want to check out the full video that I edited 100% in Canva that you're going to see me do in this tutorial, then I want you to check out the video right here, which you'll see up in that YouTube card, just to get a sense of what is capable using the Canva video editor. So that's enough from me. Let's just dive in and have a look at where I'm currently at with this edit here in Canva. Okay, so here we are in the Canva editor, and I have my project already partway edited. I've actually been working on this one for about an hour so far. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I want to do the final touches for you, just to share with you a few tips on how we finish off this edit. This video is called 3 Pro Tips for Editing Video in Canva. You'll see at the top of the screen here. And if you're not familiar with the Canva interface, then I encourage you to dive a bit deeper before you get into this tutorial. It's going to assume a certain level of knowledge. Now, what you'll see here is I've already uploaded and added a number of videos. So these videos were recorded within either the Canva record yourself function here, or some of them were recorded externally to Canva and then uploaded as video files. So think of these like your rushes or the raw elements, the building blocks of your video. And what I've already completed here is most of the baseline edit for this video so far. So just clicking on this timeline zoom thumbnails option here, and then changing the zoom scale here, you'll actually be able to see the full timeline that I've laid out. So you can see there's quite a number of clips here, and I've put some cuts or edits in at various places and dropped in some B-roll or overlay as well. If you're interested in learning more about how to actually do some of these pro tips, then I actually talk about it in this video that I'm editing right now, which has already been published on YouTube. Check out the YouTube card that is on the screen right now so that you can watch this video to get these pro tips. But right now, this is all a little bit meta. Sorry, Zuckerberg. But right now, I'm actually going to finish this edit off for you. So already you'll see that in my opening hook section of my video, as I click play here, online graphic design tool Canva has finally released its video editing function. So what I've actually done here is added in some Canva elements here. I've added in an animated Canva sticker, and I've added in some text here as well. And as you'll see, that text is actually animated graphic design tool Canva has finally over the video layer. And just quickly to do that, you can actually click on the animation settings here, which is already set on typewriter. And you can see here I could have done a burst functionality, I could have done a bounce, I could have done a shift, but I've gone with typewriter. So that's a really quick example of some of what we're going to look at in more detail here. Now, as you'll see here, as I click play from this point in the timeline, beginners. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 pro tips. You can see that I've actually cut into a second shot here, and you'll see that there's a difference in the zoom or the scale of the video within the frame. Watch this. So you can see here that I'm closer in. Now the reason, or what I've done here to do that, is actually if you click on the video and you detach the video from the background, you can actually play with the scale even wider than the whole frame. So what I'll do here is just scale that and position, and now as you'll see, it's actually more scaled up from the original shot. It's a really good way to actually hide and edit here. Now at the end of this hook section, you see I've dropped in, g'day my friends, it's Ben. I've dropped in my video intro there as well, which was a video file I already had. So I'm just going to flick through here and not go through all of this right now, but we're going to go towards the guts of the video here. So around about here, I get into the 3 tips that I'm sharing in this video. So I'm just going to show a little bit about how we actually are adding animated titles to this edit in Canva. My first pro tip is to take a leaf out of the book. So I've already done the first tip title here as well. So this overlay is coming in here when I talk about my first pro tip. This tip title is actually built up of a number of different elements, okay? So elements you'll find here in the Elements Inspector within the Canva window. And you can see I've got a basically a gray box here, which has a 40, let's just call it a 40% transparency. That's at the bottom layer there. Then above that, I've got an orange box here. And that orange box is grouped with a text box here. That text box, you can see the settings here, and I've added a tumble animation, and then I've got the subtext box here as well, which has got a shift animation. All of those elements are layered up and then animated on. So as I click play here, you'll see how they're moving into the shot. My first pro tip is to take a leaf. Awesome. So let me show you a little bit about how I actually do that using as I create the second title for further along in the video. Okay, so this is the second tip section here. So over this clip right here, where I'm talking about the second tip, this is where I'm going to add and basically rebuild that same kind of thing that I had before. So I'm going to start with a square shape, which you'll just find in Lines and Shapes here. You can search for that. I'm going to loosely put that over there. I can change the scale and size of that later. I'm going to change that back down to 40% so that it's got that same sort of transparency as before. I'm going to add another square here, and this time place that over the top and scale that down again. Now I actually want to make sure that that's a little bit less of a scale, so a little bit smaller than the underlying frame there, so that we get that border effect. And I'm going to click up here to change the color to my brand color orange. Now, to save your brand kit within Canva, you do need to have a Canva Pro account. You can try that for 30 days using the link in the description here. But basically what I want to do here is go to text and add the heading text. By default, it's going to pick my brand default font there, which is Object Sans. And I'm going to type in here, tip number 2, and I'm going to make that bold as well. So I'm going to reposition that text box here, and I'm going to scale it up to, let's go with 50. I think 50 sounds good to me. Okay. Now what I might actually do, just because I'm not 100% sure that 50 was quite right there. So I'm going to go back to my previous example here and just check what font size. Oh, I had 60. Okay. Let me scroll back there and go back to this where I was editing, click on the font, and here I'm going to have a 60-point font size. Make sure I get that correct. 60-point font size, and I'm going to change the color of that font to white. Now you see that's fitting nicely into the box there. I can probably just tweak the positioning slightly of that to make sure it's in the middle. Now what I want to do here is to select both, making sure I select the text box and trying to get that box underneath as well. So just it can be a little bit fiddly. I don't want to get the gray box. I want to select, there we go. I want to select the orange box, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and select the text box. Now I've got both of those elements selected. I'm going to right click and group those together. I can also use Command G. So now that they're a group, I can actually animate those separate, or animate those together. They'll move together as a group. Before I do that though, I'm going to add the subheading. And the subheading here, I'm going to type in what my tip is for tip number 2, which is basically the following. So drop in elements at a specific time in the middle of a clip. That's my tip, but I need to obviously make that quite a bit bigger because that's not taking up enough space. That looks good to me, so I'll drive that down. Now I actually want to click on the effects for this one here, and I'm going to use the lift effect. So lift effect just basically puts a drop shadow behind the text there just to lift it from the background. Awesome. I'm really happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is just animate some of these elements. So starting with this bottom transparent box here. I'm going to click on animate, and I'm going to just play with what works. So I'm just going to hover the mouse over a few of these options here in the animation section. You see some of these are pro animations, so you do need that Canva Pro account, but there are some free ones to play with as well. So in this case, I'm just going to go with the rise animation here, which kind of lifts it up. Then I'm going to click on this group. Remember, I've combined both the background and the text, or the orange background and the text, into one element here. So I'm going to decide which animation I'm going to go with here. So I might just go with the ascend animation because that kind of matches in with the box movements here. And then I'm going to select this text box here, and I can decide what I want to do with the text. So you can pick any combination of animations. I'd suggest that you don't overdo it. So go with things that are relatively straightforward and not just moving for the sake of moving. So what I might go, I'll go with the shift here. Yeah, I'm just going to go with the shift here because I quite like the way they kind of build off each other. So click on that. Now let's just see how that works within the actual video. So I'll just click play. And my second tip relates to sometimes in Canva, you want to add specific animations or elements into your project at a specific point within an existing video, such as the subscribe icon right here. And the answer to this, okay, so I'm really happy with that. That's great. Okay, so next I'm just going to scroll along here because I know I've already kind of edited this point, and I want to get to tip number 3 and just do basically that again. When you play back the video in the Canva video edit. Actually, what I am going to do is to add some additional information to the screen right here. So I'm going to do this in a slightly different way, but I still want to do that in a very similar sort of style to what I did before. So what I might do here, just for a little bit of interest, is choose a slightly different shape. Okay, so I can click on See All here with the shapes, and I might choose a shape that has a slightly different vibe to what I did before. So in this case, I added a line here, so I just delete that one. Let's just go with that shape there. I quite like that, but I'm still going to drop that opacity down to 40%, and I'm going to grab a text and add the subheading in here. Now again, I'm going to scale that subheading up, and I'll just reposition it into my box here. And this little overlay I'm going to add here is just adding some additional information to support what I'm saying in the video at this point. So I'm just going to type in here, when the video is exported, the cuts should play back seamlessly. Awesome. So just by changing the scale of the text box here, I can actually make sure it fits within the rest of it, and I'll just scale all of that up, and again just tweak the handles here just to make sure that it all fits nicely into that box. There we go. So I might just add the effect here and add the lift again, just to kind of punch it out from the background. And then I'm going to animate both of the box and then the text box separately. So starting with the box, I'm going to animate that as a, what do we do here? Should we drift it? Shall we stomp it? Shall we neon it? No, let's not do that. Okay, let's do this as a pop. I like the pop animation there, which is a pro animation. And then I might actually see if we can pop the text in as well. Let's just see. No, I don't want to block it. Where's the pop? So pop here. Oh, that's a bit full on. So we probably don't want to pop the text in. And I don't want that one. That's kind of crazy. No. Oh, okay, I like the drop. Let's do the rise here as well. So you can see here at that particular point, as I play that back, here that when you play back the video in the Canva video editor, that sometimes you'll see a bit of a stutter or a jump. Now, don't worry, because when you export the video, that will play smoothly and seamlessly between those two cuts. My third tip here is related to... There you go. So I've added in that, and now I'm going to add my third tip here, which is in this next little clip. It's probably worth mentioning here, as I'm about to do that all again, that another way to approach this entirely would be to actually select these elements here, and all of them there, and copy. And then if we go back to where I want this to be, right here, and then paste, then I've actually just saved myself a whole bunch of time, right? So that is certainly worth doing. So tip number 3, I'm going to change the text here just to suit tip number 3. And tip number 3 for this video is add B-roll clips or layers to your video. Now this is a super cool hack if you haven't actually come across this before. I do encourage you to watch this video that I'm editing right here to talk about how to add these B-roll clips to your video, because it's not intuitive in Canva at the moment, but I figured out how to do that. Okay, so let's have a look. My third tip here is related to a trick that all video editors use, which is the idea of covering over your A-roll of your video with B-roll. Okay, so I'm going to pause it there because I don't want this tip number 3 overlay to be on the screen the whole time. So if I split, right-click at that point in the timeline and split here, now in this second instance of the clip, I can actually delete these elements, and because I don't want them anymore, you can see that now it'll play back seamlessly with B-roll. Now, in video editing terms, B-roll refers to... You might have heard a little stutter there, but as I mentioned previously in my previous tip, which we just looked at right here, when the video is exported, the cuts should play back seamlessly if we've just split the clip there. Okay, so that's that tip number 3 done. Ski. All right, let's have a look here and see how we can wrap this video up. The B-roll on top. With these simple tricks to using the video editor in Canva, you're able to create a much more professional result, which is almost as good as what you might be able to create using professional video editing software. Now, let's just skip across here for a bit. To really maximize what you're creating in the power that is the Canva video editor. And if you want to have a look at exactly how I created this video Okay, so that's the point there where I want to include my YouTube end card. So let's do a few groovy things here. The Canva video editor. And if you want to have a look at So before I say, and if you want to have a look, let's just click play here. Canva video editor. And right there, I'm going to split once again. Now this is the end section here where I want to actually add my YouTube end card. So a few groovy things that we can play with here. Now, one thing you can do is look through the templates here. For example, there's a number of templates that that Canva give you which actually suit YouTube end cards. So for example, in this YouTube video section here, you can have a look at some of these examples here that give you some options to maybe be a starting point for what you might want to create for your own videos. So let's see how that might work. So for example, I might just have a look at some of these that could be a good fit. So I'm just going to grab this one right here. I quite like this as a starting point. So what I'll do is to click on that one to drop that in. Okay, so you can see what it's done there is actually replaced that final clip as I added this template in. Now that's okay, because what I actually want to do here is to add the video as an overlay element here in Canva. So I'll go back to my upload section here. I'll find that final video, which should be this one right here. And I'll add that in as an overlay. Okay, so I'm going to pause it right there. So what I want to actually do is, now that I've got this clip here, I'm going to click on the trim tool up here, and I'm going to drag that back to exactly where I want it to be cutting off. And then I'm going to trim the end of this clip as well. Completely edited within Canva. You can have a look at my full walkthrough right here. Right there, I'm going to walk you through exactly everything that I did to put this video together. that's where I'm going to end. So let's just drag that up to that point. Okay, so click done on that. Now that I've trimmed to the end of that point. Now I want to think about how I want to place it within this template that Canva has provided me. Now what I don't want to do, if I just move this aside for a second, I don't want to put this video in this square, because that square is where I'm going to put the YouTube end card or the suggested next video. But what I do want to do here is to think about where I can put this video of me at the end here. So I'm just going to shift it across to the side here while I muck around with a few other things. So there's things that I like about this template and there's things that I want to change. So first of all, I want to get rid of this thanks for watching here. And I do like this like and subscribe. So I'm going to shift this across to here. And then I'm just going to change some of the colors of these to suit my brand colors rather than, not that one. So I want to change the box color. So I'll just change the box color there to the orange and change the text color here also to the orange, just so that it suits my brand a bit more. I want to get rid of some of these elements here because it's not really suited to what I'm looking for. And I'm going to entirely get rid of this circle element here. And that's fine because I am not interested in those elements, but I don't mind the rest of the elements here. I don't mind the starry background. I don't mind the way that this these colors move around this box here, quite like that. So instead what I'm going to do is to insert a frame here. So if I go back to elements and I choose a frame and I just search for that, I'm going to choose here a just a square edged frame. So just maybe a rectangle frame here. Oh no, that one's got a crack in it. I don't need that one. So I'm going to just choose a straight up frame here. I don't mind the rounded edges. That's cool. So just grab that, reposition that. There we go. So I'm going to actually bust the frame off the edge here, and then I'm going to grab my video that's now trimmed to length and drop that. Just drag and drop that over the top. Now, hopefully this is actually going to look pretty cool. So let me just play that back. CANVA video editor. And if you want to have a look at exactly how I created this video that you're watching right now, all completely edited within Canva, you can have a look at my full walkthrough right here. Right there, I'm going to walk you through exactly everything that I did to put this video together. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty cool with that. So one thing I do want to plan for is the like and subscribe here. I might actually just work on dropping that down a bit, because I do know that I want to include the subscribe icon here as well. So I'm just going to drop that down. So using YouTube end cards, I know that I'm going to have a subscribe icon here, and I'm going to drop the next related video up the top here. So I might just shift that up as well. Obviously, if this doesn't fit perfectly when I'm in YouTube, I can tweak the position of the YouTube end cards a bit here. And finally, I'll just go back to my upload section here. In fact, I'll go to my logos section here, because as a pro user, I've got my Engage Video Marketing logo just saved there. And I'm just going to maybe just put a bit of branding on this end screen as well. Maybe a little bit like, where am I going to put that? I don't want to drag it over the top of that. Let's go here. How about that? Yeah, groovy. Okay, I like it. Play around with a few things till we're happy. Okay, so let's just have a look at how that transitions into the end screen here. And the power that is the Canva video editor. And if you want to have a look at exactly how I created this video that you're watching right now, all completely edited within Canva, you can have a look at my full walkthrough right here. Right there, I'm going to walk you through exactly everything that I did to put this video together. So there you have it, guys. I hope that little walkthrough of completing that YouTube video edit entirely in Canva was useful to you, and you picked up a few tips or two. But as I mentioned, that video that you saw me completing there actually was all about 3 pro hack tips to editing video in Canva. So if you want to check out the video that I edited right there in Canva that you saw me complete, and you want to pick up those tips for yourself, then head on over and watch this video right here, because that's the one. Go and check it out, and make sure to hit subscribe to this channel. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think.